First, let's join our palms with great reverence and pay homage to the lineage gurus, homage to the Venerable Monk Liao Ming, homage to Master Sakya Tseng Kung, homage to the 16 Dharma King Karmapa, and homage to Master Thupten Tarje. Homage to the three jewels on the altar, and homage to the main deity of the group practice today, Jambala. Sumo, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, temple directors, all disciples present here and over the webcast, and our guest of honors today, accountant to the True Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa. Producer for the Illuminating Your Heart TV program from CTI TV Taiwan, Dharma Sister Rebecca and Dr. Zhou, and attorney Zhou and her son. And today I also see many disciples coming from all over the world, from faraway places, and each one of us are guests of honor. Welcome everybody. Welcome for your participation in the group practice today and the fire offering for Singamuka Dakini tomorrow. How are you? How do you do? So last Sunday we had the yellow Jambala Homa fire offering ceremony. So here I will not repeat the introduction of yellow Jambala. So everyone in this world still needs money. Because money doesn't do everything, but without money you cannot do anything. So you have troubles even when you have money, but without money you have even bigger problems. So I hope that you have the Dharma wealth, and you can do charity to increase our resources, because once your resource needs are satisfied, then you can come down and start your spiritual cultivation. But without enough resources, without enough wealth, then they would not have time to do spiritual cultivation. They have to earn money. I saw someone in Seattle before. He worked in the daytime and also at night. So 2 jobs and also overtime at night. So he did not have time to attend group practice here. So sometimes I asked him, do you do any practice? And he said, I'm so tired and sleepy every day. Coming home, and kept telling the Buddhas that maybe tomorrow. And yet, even that is difficult. So without money, it would be a hardship. So how can you do charity without money? So you can make offering of the food you eat. So you make offering before you eat, and make the great offering, or the sweet nectar offering. And if you have no money, you can also buy a little bit of spirit or paper money and burn them as an offering to the earth god, and asking the earth god to help you. That would be a good way. So you can perform charity, or you can give in many different ways. You can make offering, or you can give your happiness to the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, to the gods and ghosts. You can offer yourself or the Dharma. You can say a kind word or kind words. That's as a charity. Or you can make other people happy. Or you can make the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, the gods and ghosts and the spirits happy. And then they would help you. Some people say, they have no money, how could they do charity? You don't have to have money to do charity. You can just make the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas happy, all the ghosts and the earth god and the 4 heavenly kings happy, say by chanting their mantras, or by calling on their names, or by respecting them, revering them, making offering to them. They would be happy. As long as they have joy in their hearts, then you would be bestowed wealth. So charity is not necessarily by giving money. If you don't have money, how could you give money? But if you have money, you can give money. But if you have no money, then you can give joy and happiness and delight. So that's what I like to teach you. Some people say they don't know how to do charity. But you can make the earth god happy. Say you can tell a joke to him, then he would be happy. And when he's happy, then it would say, oh, you're so cute. Then it would give you a little bit of wealth. Then that's good enough. That would be good. So today we will continue to talk about the Great Perfection Dharma. Someone asked, Grandmaster has been teaching the Great Perfection Dharma until now. So what is the difference between this Great Perfection Dharma and all the other Tantric Dharma or Tantric teachings? There's some similarities and also some differences. For example, the treasure vase energy yoga, practicing the 9-cycle Buddha breathing, and the Vajra chanting, and opening the central channel, practicing the inner fire or tumo, practicing the light drops or bindu. All these practices are related to the Great Perfection Dharma. That's the similarities. And the differences are, for example, the Great Perfection Dharma, there is the so-called enlightenment, the true understanding of the mind and seeing the Buddha nature. And the true understanding of the mind or enlightenment is the same as Zen Buddhism. And then, in Great Perfection Dharma, you can see the lights, the sunlight, the moonlight, the light from the light bulbs, and looking at the clear blue sky. And in general or typical tantric Dharma practices, those do not exist. So there are some similarities and some differences. And in Great Perfection Dharma, what is unique is typically, say when we're incanting Buddha Amitabha or you're performing something, you want to dedicate the merit. Say, may all who uphold the Buddha ascend to the utmost bliss, repaying fourfold generosities from above, aiding those in the three realms below. Upon seeing the Buddha, may we transcend life and death. Like the Buddha, may we liberate all. That's dedication of merit. And Grandmaster often dedicate the merit to be reborn in the Western paradise, leave behind all sufferings, and attaining bliss. Namo Amitabha. So you are wishing to be reborn in the Western paradise, transcending life and leaving behind suffering, leaving the Saha world, abandoning all sufferings, able to be reborn in the Western paradise, never to fall into the three lower realms or the human world or the 6 rebirth realms. That's called merit dedication. And in Great Perfection Dharma, they don't talk about merit dedication. There is no need to dedicate the merits. Why? Because when you have fruition in your Great Perfection Dharma practice, whether you open your eyes or close your eyes, you are in the Buddha lands. You don't need to dedicate the merits to go to the Buddha lands. You are already there. Say in the Pure Land school, you need the 3 deities, Amitabha Buddha, Kuan Yin, and Mahastama, and many sages and saints to come, descend, and guide you to go to the Western paradise. And the lotus throne would be like the UFO. Then you climb on it and ride the UFO to go to the Western paradise. And if you are of the high level, it would be a golden lotus, and then you would go there immediately. And if you're less, then it would be the silver lotus. And you climb on the silver lotus and you go to the Western paradise as the middle grade. And then lower than that, it would be a bronze lotus throne. And then you climb on the bronze lotus throne, and all the same, you would be born as the lowest grade, but in the Western paradise. And all the same, you have the lotus throne. But you still need Amitabha Buddha, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, and Mahastama Bodhisattva to guide you there, to come and meet you, in order to have that attainment. But if you do the practice of Great Perfection Dharma, when you open your eyes, that's the Buddha land. And when you close your eyes, that's also the Buddha land. You don't need to have the 3 deities of the Western paradise to descend and guide you. That's why you don't need to dedicate the merit, because you have the attainment of the Buddha lands. You are already in the Buddha lands. So there is no need for them to come and guide you. That's why no need to dedicate the merit. There is a high monk that's very famous in the Tang dynasty, called the monk Xuanzang of the Tang dynasty, Tang Sanzang. So he went to India to obtain the sutras, as we could see from the novel Journey to the West. Actually, he went to India to learn Buddhism. And actually, he learned about consciousness-only school. Because at that time in India, there were only two schools. One is Madhyamaka, and the other one is the consciousness-only school. So he learned the consciousness-only school, and we could consider him as the patriarch of the school in China. So he went to India, and after he learned the consciousness-only school, and they had a debate, and he went to India to find the sutras and to learn, and had the debate, and he was first and foremost. Nobody ever won over him. And why? Because nobody debated with him. And then he returned to China. It was a good thing nobody debated with him, which meant that he must be a best scholar. Nobody dared to debate with him, so he was first, number one. And after he returned to China, in Xi'an, in the Taiyuan pagoda, he translated lots of the sutras and collected many translators to do the job together. So the Tang Sanzang, the monk Sanzang, was very famous in the Tang dynasty. This was a joke given by Master Lien Yin, right, about the monk Tang Sanzang. Okay, let me share this joke about the monk. So the monk Tang, after getting the sutras, returned to Beijing. This was just a joke, of course. At that time there was no plane. They travel by feet through the mountains and forest. So the monk, as soon as got off the plane, the journalist asked him, so what is your viewpoint about the girl with 3 accompaniments? I don't know what they are. Maybe Lien Yin would know, I don't know. So the monk asked, what? Beijing had this girl with 3 accompaniments? And yet the media wrote that as soon as the monk got off the plane, he asked if there is the girl with 3 accompaniments. But they didn't write. The media was just really horrible. They didn't write the question, they just wrote the statement. So the journalist asked the monk again, what is your viewpoint about this girl with 3 accompaniments? And the monk replied, no interest. And yet the media wrote that his expectation was too high, that he had no interest even in the, like an escort lady. So the media is really, and then the media asked again, so what's your opinion about the escort lady? And the monk got upset and said, what, an escort lady with 3 services, 4 services, 5 services? I don't know. And yet the media said the monk was dissatisfied with the escort lady with 3 services, and instead he wants 4, 5, 6 services. And when the media asked again, the monk didn't say anything. And yet the media wrote, facing the issue about the escort lady, the monk had no comment. Then the monk got angry. Actually, as the monk, he shouldn't be angry. And he said, what is this, what the media, what did the media write? This is horrible. And I will sue them. And yet the media wrote, the monk will sue because of an escort lady. And then the monk eventually was at court. And then the media wrote that the monk was in court because of an escort lady. And finally the monk just committed suicide. And yet the media wrote that the monk finally ended his life because of an escort lady. That's how the media wrote. So Grandmaster had been disadvantaged by the media like that too. The first time I returned to Taiwan, I met someone from the media, from China News, and I didn't want to say the author, and they wrote really horribly. So I ignored it. And then I went to Hong Kong, and there was the weekly and there was another magazine, Next Media, and because our disciples did not know about that magazine, and they interviewed me, and whatever I said they didn't write. Instead they wrote whatever they wanted. So in Hong Kong everybody knew me and pointed fingers at me. And that was the second time. And the third time I was in Malaysia, and I was interviewed by Gentleman's Magazine. There was a magazine there, and it's the same case. And our disciples said they wrote quite well when they interviewed the prime ministers, etc. So there shouldn't be any problem. And then they wrote an article, and there are lots of problems too. So media is really horrible. So we should pay attention to that. For True Buddha School, we have to pay good attention to the media, and anything that will be published in the media, in magazines, newspapers, or any media, we have to check first. This is very important, and we have to put in more effort in this. Don't think that True Buddha News or the Enlightenment magazines are enough. That's media for our own members of the school, but they're rarely seen by the general public. But we should push the image of True Buddha School outward. Then we have to rely on the media. So look at this monk. He got really angry and sued finally and committed suicide, but not Grandmaster. And because they wrote so horribly about me, and too many of them write bad things about me, maybe 100 of them or more. So if I want to kill myself, I would have killed hundreds of times, and there would not be. And actually, they have no proofs. They never see anything. They only heard. They heard from who? They heard from the gossiper. And the gossiper heard from who? From other people. So it's just rumors through the grapevine. So when they saw a little shadow, and they jump to conclusion, and they think for themselves. They all created those rumors. So don't just believe. So even when a master tells me something, if I check on it, there's still some discrepancies. Or even the monks and the nuns, whatever they say are not necessarily the truth, or not exactly the truth. Some people said that someone had an accident, and another person said that she was beaten by her husband. So I have to check. And then someone else said that she fell, that's why she had the bruises. So what is the truth? So you have to be very careful to observe. Even the close disciples, they made mistakes, especially people through the grapevine. How can you avoid those? In the past, when I was slandered by the media, I would lose sleep. But these days, when I see that in the media, I would sleep even better and I would eat even more. You know, when Grandmaster lay down and closed my eyes, I saw a newspaper in front of you, a huge letters, Sheng-Yen Lu, and then all slanders, defamations. I could see that. And then finally, I told the spirits that reported to me, there's no need to report to me about this, because that create more troubles to me. There is no need to tell me ahead of time on what day, what articles will be published. They all told me ahead of time. Maybe a few months later will be published, then I would be afflicted for a few months ahead of time. You know, then I'll deal with it when it comes out. So don't tell me. And they just tell me for the important news. Like last night, they showed me a television news about me. So they tell me ahead of time. So I could see those as soon as I closed my eyes. And this is the fruition of talk. Then you can see ahead of time all these lights. These few days when I do my practice, I see lights. So prior to your attainment of fruition, first you have to see the Vajra chain. It's like when we had the Kalachakra grand ceremony in Indonesia, we saw the Vajra chain. And someone took a picture and it was captured. There are lots of lines and the Vajra chain. These few days I see many of them and lots of lights. The red light of light drops, the white light of light drops, the circles of prajna lights, and the hollow lights of the light drops. They are similar to the prajna lights. So the hollow lights of the light drops, it's transparent, you can see through them. So if you can see lights, that's very special. In the future, you will be able to see the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas around you. Millions, trillions, eons of them. And they would be emitting light to bless you. and your own body would also emit light, and you merge with all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and then you would attain Buddhahood. That is Buddhahood. So Buddhahood is when all the Buddhas, the trillions and eons of Buddhas appear, emitting light, and you emit light and merge together, then you attain Buddhahood. That's the Buddhahood, your Buddhahood. So that's the how great perfection Dharma is different. That's point number one. Point number two. All tantric Dharma practice based on the Yidam, or main deity, personal deity. Like today, everyone has one's Yidam, one's protector, and one's root guru. So the blessing of the root guru, the attraction of the Yidam, and the protection of the protector. So auspiciousness in the daytime, auspiciousness at night, auspiciousness around the clock, auspiciousness at any moment. We pray for the blessings of the root guru, the acceptance of the Yidam, and the protection of the Dharma protector. That's the merit dedication that we often say. We pray that the root guru always bless us. We pray that the Yidam is always attached to us. And we pray that the protectors always protect us and support us during our spiritual cultivation. And the great perfection Dharma, sometimes when one sees the lights, they only need empowerments for a very special Dharma practice. Otherwise, you don't rely on the Yidams. Although you have the root guru, Yidam, and protectors that you can pray to, but in reality, their empowerments do not come from typical masters, Vajra masters, or your lineage root guru. When you can see the lights, inside the lights there are Yidams, and the Yidams come to empower you naturally. You don't need to ask for the empowerment from the root guru or from the masters. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that appear naturally inside the lights, they would empower you naturally. Like when we pray earlier, we pray to the 5 Dhyani Buddhas to radiate light to empower all beings. If you could see, if you have the ability to see, then you could see the light from the space to descend upon you, enter into your bodies. That's the empowerment of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. So in that case, you don't need the lineage root guru to give you empowerment. Because the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, you could see them and they emit lights, and they even could enter into your bodies already. So in performing the great perfection Dharma, there may not be a need for empowerment. The Yidam descends by himself or herself. So that's what's supreme about it, about the great perfection Dharma. Let me share a joke. Today we went to the beach and saw many couples riding on the sand. If you don't abandon me, we would be together till death do us part. And they draw 2 hearts with an arrow, shooting it. And they wrote, I love you. This is the hand sign, the sign language. and that was taught by Master Lien Man's son, Alan or Patrick? Kevin. And that he said that it shouldn't be publicized, but now everyone knows. I love you. I love you. So this couple, the husband said, okay, honey, let's draw something. And so they draw hearts. And then the husband asked the wife, what should we write? And the wife wrote, if you obey me or follow my wishes, you would flourish. But if you are against my wishes, then you would be dead. But it rhymes in Chinese. Good thing today. Today. I didn't say anything. Why do you laugh so hard? Really? Those who have been married would know. Those who follow, who fulfill their wishes would be fine, but against the wishes would be dead. But we are the big man. We can cover the whole world. So we have to definitely obey. That's how it is. So, as a Buddhist, we are as huge as the mountains and the rivers, but we should not have disputes. So, when your wife is really busy and you are sitting there doing your practice, the wife would shower you with ice water and crying out loud, what are you doing sitting there? So that's why we hope that we have Buddhist families, that you could do practice together and you can attain Buddhahood together. That would be very nice. In the past, when I do my practice, I do practice both of us, and these days I only practice by myself. And Simu does her own, and I practice my practice on my altar. Actually, the Dharma practice is very important. Every day I have to meditate and see the lights. Not only when you quiet down, you would be able to see lights. Even when you're moving in the future, you would be able to see lights. And then not only just a drop of light, and you have to fix it. Then you have to see many lights and chain them together to become Vajra chain. And the future, you would be able to see all lights, and then Buddhas appearing in front of you in half body, in whole bodies, and then all Buddhas appear in front of you, around you, and in a split of a moment you would attain Buddhahood. That's why seeing the lights is very important, and seeing the lights is the heart essence, the quintessence, and the fifth instructions, the nittik of the Great Perfection Dharma. When you are able to see the lights, then you would be able to see many deities, many yidams, and there's no need for you to ask for anything. these days everybody asks for something. Say some people would ask Jambala to give me, to bestow what? Just now Grandmaster also asked. You know what Grandmaster visualized? 1 kilogram of gold and fill the whole space, the whole sky. Why is Grandmaster asking for that? So, in the future, to build temples and spiritual centers to help sentient beings. So, I have something to ask for. But when you see the yidams, the deities would know, would understand you when you do the great perfection Dharma. With one thought, you would be given. Your wish would be fulfilled, whatever you ask for. So Grandmaster doesn't dare to ask for anything. Every morning I would rub the Ganapati, the red Jambala. In the past, I asked that he would spit Franklin's dollar bills, $100 bills, as tall as a mountain. In the past, I did ask. Some people ask for power, positions, for wealth. The single man would ask for girlfriends, and the woman asked for boyfriends, for marriages, or the girl that you want. You visualize that she would be spewed out from Ganapati's nose to become, and then she would grow big to become your girlfriend. So you have something to ask for that way. But when you do the practice of great perfection Dharma, you don't need to ask. As soon as the yidam appears, the yidam would know what you need. Then you would be given naturally. You don't need to ask for it. So that's the benefit of the great perfection Dharma. So a wife is talking to her husband. I want to put a statue of a great musician or composer on top of the piano. Who should we have? And the husband replied, according to your degree, you should place a statue of Beethoven. And she's very pleased because Beethoven is a great famous composer. And so she asked the husband, why Beethoven? Because he is deaf. So he wouldn't be able to hear the music that the wife plays. So you don't need to ask for anything. I want to learn how to play piano. I also want to learn how to paint. At that time, I was considering this too. Is it better to learn music or to learn to paint? Which one is better for me? All of a sudden, I got an inspiration because among the True Buddha disciples, there is someone called Zhu Mulan, the wife of Ouyang Horn. So, and she's a painter, so I thought maybe it's better to learn how to paint. And she flew here to teach me on her own will about 4 or 5 times. So she flew from San Francisco to Seattle here and taught me about 4 or 5 times. And why did I decide to paint? Because with a piece of paper, a brush, and a little bit of color, then you can paint. Very simple. And after you finish your painting, it can be shown, and then more important than that, it can be auctioned. But music, like say piano, like when you want to show your music, your piano playing, you have to carry your piano. And maybe your hand is not good for piano playing. A true musician would understand about the pianos and vice versa. So at that time, when I learned how to paint, I had expectation. Why didn't I play the piano? If I did learn to play the piano, wow, now I would be able to play a true music. And Grandmaster would know how to play the music. One evening, when I saw someone play the piano so well, I felt a little bit discouraged. How come? I don't know how to play the piano. So I sat in front of a piano and I extended my hands, and all of a sudden there was like a music god, and automatically my fingers moved on top of the piano. Oh God. Oh, and I was drunken in that music. It was so good. And I had wished that that was my hands, my fingers that played the piano. That was my songs, my music. And then on the second day, I sat there in front of the piano, and the music god didn't come. And my fingers didn't move. So I did play once. And you could say that I just knock on that keyboards, but the music was just so incredible, and nothing that you could find on the earth. So you don't need to ask for; they come by themselves. So in the future, maybe I would play the keyboard in the Rainbow Temple, and I would ask for the music god to come. And then you would respect me after you see that. You would be like a great musician. So in the Great Perfection Dharma, you don't need to ask. You don't need to ask Ganapati. You don't need to ask the music god to come and descend. You yourself would see, and then you would be able to do anything and everything. And you would comprehend or understand everything. So it's like omniscient. So Buddha Sakyamuni is omniscient. Like I have said that when all the cults group reprimanded Sakyamuni Buddha that you are not a Buddha, that there are 2 women that are sitting near you, One is called Chanze, the other one called Shundoli. And you did not know ahead of time that they were going to be hurting you, harming you in the future. So you must not be a Buddha because you didn't know ahead of time. And if you were a Buddha, you would have known ahead of time that they were going to harm you in the future. So say like Dr. Zhou, he knows that what kind of ailments or sicknesses that people have, but he wouldn't be able to point to all these different people that you have heart disease or liver disease, and because they didn't have tests, you cannot just say that. So the Buddha used that analogy. I knew, but I couldn't say it because it's not the right time, because you cannot say it before the right time. So we all know that on the west coast of United States, from Los Angeles, San Francisco, Oregon, Seattle, Vancouver, this is the earthquake range. And lots of people predicted there would be a big earthquake here. And there was an earthquake like of 6.9 or 6.8 scale. I remember because Simu was hiding under a desk. I was in Taiwan then, so it wasn't my responsibility. At that time, I was in Taiwan. There was a big earthquake in Seattle. Yes. And I heard there's even a bigger earthquake coming. And even through the consultation, through the round table. But they didn't tell us the exact time. So they wouldn't say. So if you ask Grandmaster what date would the earthquake happen, and if Grandmaster tells you, and if everybody knows, then everybody would be panic. Then this kind of problem cannot be told before the time. Before its time. Cannot be told. So Buddha knows everything, but he would not say unless it is the right time to say. Manjushri Bodhisattva asked the Buddha, so if you cannot say before the right time, so when these two women slandered you, Sundoli and Chanze, and they stood up and said that they are pregnant with Sakyamuni Buddha's child, why, when they slandered Sakyamuni Buddha, why didn't the Buddha say anything in response? Manjushri Bodhisattva asked the Buddha, and the Buddha said, someone reprimanded the sky, the clear blue sky. They defamed the sky, reprimanded the sky. You in Chinese, when you curse, you use all this egg, rotten egg and spoiled egg, and what? And then would the sky need to respond? The sky would not respond. So what the Buddha meant is the Buddha is like the sky. There's no need to respond at all, not even a word. So many people on the internet, on the magazines, newspaper, would write all those slanders and the deformations, and I often see them, but there's no need to respond. Because if you respond and say one word, they would respond with 20 words, 10 words. And then if you say 2 words, they would respond 20 words. So if you don't say anything, just let them be. Because they slanders the sky, the empty space. And so the sky need not respond. So there's no need, really. It's never ending. If you want to respond, even 100 Sheng-Yen loos would not be enough. So a dog, if there's a gang or a group of dogs, one dog see a shadow would started to bark, but the other hundreds of dogs heard that one dog barks and also follow and barking. So if there's a mad dog bite on your leg, you would not bite back, right? You just endure it. Or then you try to protect yourself by getting a tetanus shot or curing the wound, right? Because an animal biting you, you will not catch it and bite it back, right? So there's no need. We just try to protect ourselves. Don't be infected by diseases after being bitten, and don't be infected, etc. That's more important. The other uniqueness about Great Perfection Dharma, point number 4, is you don't need the yidam. You can see the yidam yourself, and the yidam would give you empowerment automatically. You would be able to see lights, the prajna lights. Do you know what they are? The light drop lights are also prajna lights. They are rounds, like plates, and inside it there would be a deity, and there would be an altar, mandala, inside it. When the farming chapter had the bardo deliverance ceremony of Siddhikapa Bodhisattva, they took pictures of the many prajna lights, and this, in each of the prajna light there would be an altar, and at the center of the altar there would be a yidam, or main deity. And when the deity appears, then the deity would give you empowerment. So inside a photo there would be hundreds and thousands and innumerable prajna lights, like drops of lights, big and small. Some are very bright and some are darker or dim. So the bright one and the huge ones are the great bodhisattvas, and then also smaller ones, smaller bodhisattvas, and the dim one, the really dim ones, are spirits, lights of the spirits. Even the spirits also have prajna lights. So there's another joke. They say a family of worms, dokuna, worms, earthworms. So one day they're very bored. So the small earthworm cut himself into 2 pieces. And then these 2 pieces are playing badminton. And the worm's mom thought, that's a good way. So she cut herself into 4 pieces. For what? To play mahjong, because you need 4. And the worm's dad also cut himself into ground worm. And then the mom cried, why are you so stupid? You would die like that. And the dad said, because because he wanted to play soccer. Well, soccer doesn't need to be that many, right? 22? Well, that's about to be like a ground meat. But the prasna lights are not like that. Although they could be overlapping, and some are bright, some are dim, some are big, some are small, lots of them. And in Buddhism, in Vimalakirti Sutra, when the Dharma's throne is coming from the sky, so his living abode is very poor, very small. So he lay there, and the flower showering goddess are there, and yet his room could fit many Dharma thrones. And actually they were huge Dharma thrones, and they become very small, very tiny, and would fit into his room, and the room could never be full. That's Buddha Dharma. So what is Buddha Dharma? One can become many, and many could become one. Then this is Buddha Dharma. So sometimes one deity can become thousands of yidams, like Manjushri Bodhisattva. In the sky, there are Manjushri Bodhisattvas. On earth, there are Manjushri Bodhisattvas. On the 6 rebirth realms, on the 28 heavens, there are Manjushri Bodhisattvas. So what is it? So don't think that if you have the four-armed Chenrezig as the yidam, and also that person's yidam and that person's yidam, and you all see the four-armed Chenrezig, you saw and he saw, she saw. So does that mean that there are many four-armed Chenrezig? Yes. They could transform to become many, and many become one. So this is also one uniqueness of the great perfection. When you see the light of the light drops, this one light drop could become many light drops. The many Bindu lights. So it's like when you see a moon, and some people, because they have stigmatism, they would see 2 moons, and some 4 moons. Or when you're drunk, there would be many moons on the sky. When you have fruition in your practice, you don't only see 1 moon. You don't see only 1 moon, but when the moon appears, then the moons would fill the sky. That's when you have the attainment. That's all for tonight.